Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with the Contoured Chemist. Do I look any differently today? I hope so. I hope you can tell what I did. So, can you guess what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about a little bit about the basics of Maskcara's 3D foundation and how it's different than typical foundation. And if you are anything like this, which I know a lot of people naturally are, and your face is darker than your neck, why this makeup works differently. So I'm going to explain you step by step how to apply to get the best results and the best longevity. So if you want to check it out, keep watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for being here. Okay, friends, I took one for the team today and I self-tanned my face and not the rest of my body. So I wanted you guys to be able to visually see it. I've done this video before over on Instagram, but instead I used Bella bronzer and it, I think, demonstrated the purpose, but it didn't translate as much as I'd like it to. So this is more realistic. My face is literally this color. I didn't just put anything down. It's not gonna mix or anything like that. I self-tan my face. Okay. I get so many people on the daily basis who need a color match and they naturally just have a darker face than their neck. This is completely normal. What makes 3D foundation a little bit differently is, say you were going into a drugstore, you wanted to match, so you could buy a shade either lighter or matching your neck and apply it directly to your face, and you could pull your face down to match your neck. Okay, so we've been kind of accustomed to traditional foundation for so long, and let me just tell you, these creams don't work that way. And I know it can be really confusing if you're brand new to 3D foundation, especially if you've been color matched by me. I try to explain it all because you guys know me, I'm very type A, so I explain everything. But it can be a little bit confusing if you're like, why am I getting matched to that way? It's all because of how this makeup works. So, for example, my neck is the shade About Amber. Okay, so I'm going to show you. This is the shade Amber. That's about the tone of my neck. Okay, in fact, when I first started wearing mascara, I wore that shade. It's me, all natural, no self tanner, but you guys know I'm a regular self tanner now. So the thing is, if I was to apply this shade to my face, you can hopefully see my face is much darker than that. Okay. When I apply this to my face, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it on camera. Okay, even using a very small amount. Can you see it sitting on my pores? Can you see all of a sudden the size of my pores look massive? Okay, that is just a characteristic of these creams. They're very different. They're not gonna sit and dry down and absorb into your skin like traditional foundations do. They're gonna sit on top of the skin. So what that means is that if you don't have the right color, if you apply a shade lighter than the skin directly under it, you're immediately gonna see texture. Even if it blends in, it's not gonna last. And that's unfortunately the biggest issue I see, is that people are matched to their neck and not the darkest tones in their face first. And if you're matched to your neck and you're having longevity issues, it's because you haven't addressed your skin tone yet. Okay, so I'm gonna show you kind of the difference. My face right now is the shade Mango. Okay, now obviously this can vary depending on how drastic a difference is between your neck and your chest. So right now I'm a good 3 shades probably different than my neck. Some people are very close. Like they're only maybe one shade off, and you could get away with not doing the method I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna show you on one side of my face what I recommend if you either have a whole lot of redness, so not just like darkness, but if your face is naturally just very red, but your neck is not, your neck has no redness, you have to match that redness and color correct that first and then bring it back down to matching your neck, okay? So whether you have redness, hyperpigmentation, just dark spots, or you're just naturally darker, even if you have no issues going on, you're naturally darker. Your face gets more sun exposure. Your neck is naturally shadowed, okay? So I'm gonna show you on one side of the face how I would layer this makeup and how it works best. Or I'm gonna show you on the other side how if you have a very subtle difference, how you can still apply your makeup with the least amount of colors possible and still maybe be able to stay matching. Okay, let's get started. All right, there are two brushes I recommend for this first step on this side, okay? So on this side, it's gonna be more medium to full coverage. This is gonna be more of a natural coverage. I, by far, recommend the B Squared, okay? Blush bronzer brush. The reason is that you can use this for both step 1 and step 2. Now, if you have all the brushes, you can also try the BBF, the Best Blend Forever. And the reason I picked these two, specifically these two ends, is the buffing motion. I color match you this way. I will give you detailed instructions about how to apply. And the first thing I do is say that you're gonna use very little of your base color corrector, and you're gonna buff it on all over, okay? If you're naturally darker all over, you have to match the darkest tones all over. You can't just apply it in one specific spot and think that your entire face is gonna have good longevity. You have to match the darkest tones first, okay? Can you tell? I'm going to emphasize that. Okay, so on this side, I'm gonna show you. You can either use this brush, okay? Smallest amount. Tap, okay? I'm going to buff, which means small circles. If I'm gonna use this brush, same thing. Tap, small circles, okay? Both of these pick up very little product and are great for buffing on the skin to get the thinnest layer possible, which is what we want. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with this one because this one is quicker in my opinion. And I am buffing on Mango to match my darkest tones. Now you'll notice that a lot of people have a lot of warmth in their face. If you naturally have warmth, like I am showing here from my self tanner, you're gonna need a warm shade like Mango to match your darkest tones. This shade is also amazing. You guys know I talk about it all the time. It's Magic Mango, because it's the one shade that will also color correct dark circles, hyperpigmentation, and redness. You don't necessarily have to have warmth in your face. This is warm though. So if you naturally don't have a lot of warmth in your face, I will show you how you can then tone that down afterwards, okay? So I'm going to, whoops, I can't forget my nose. My nose is always darker than the rest of my face. Let's see if I can do a half face. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole thing so I can show you guys. I, on the daily, use this for color correction. I'm gonna press on hyperpigmentation and under the eyes. Okay, now obviously this side needs it as well, okay? So I'm gonna, here, I'll show you with this one because this is more natural. The smallest amount. Okay, this shouldn't be pulling you super dark in comparison to the warmth your face already has. you're just matching those darkest tones. So that way when you apply the shade over it, it will actually last on the skin and it's not gonna fade within a couple of hours, okay? Which is typical if you have the wrong shade. Even if it's blending and it looks like it matches, if you're having longevity on other parts of your face, like most typically it's your nose, where people are darker on their nose and they don't even realize it. I'm gonna color correct my lids while I'm at it. Then guess what? It's because that color isn't dark enough for your nose. Your nose is darker than the rest of your face, even if you've never even realized it. But that's what I look for first. Okay, so we have matched our darkest tones, okay? I'm about the exact same color as I was before, okay? I didn't get pulled Oompa Loompa super orange or anything like that because I didn't use enough product to really do that. Now, if I was to go in with the Buffy and start swiping and putting it on, absolutely, I would be pulled so much darker. It's all about the brush and the amount. This method truly depends on the amount of product you use. If you use too much, no amount of anything you put over this will tone down the warmth and get you back to matching. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys like my typical colors, okay? So I always use mango for color correction, but this is my main shade normally, okay? When my whole face and my body is this color. I would go in just one lighter to tone down the warmth of my color corrector and bring me back to matching. Now this is the color of my neck, okay? It is one lighter than the color I normally use, okay? But I'm not gonna use that. If you look at these two, they're both warm, okay? The color we just put down, mango, has warm undertones, which is why it's so good for color correction. Amber, color of my neck, is also warm, but I do not like to put, if I was to put amber over this, I would still be pulled warm. I would be darker than my neck. It's not enough to tone down the warmth I've got going on here, okay? I go one down to Candlelit. Now, Candlelit is neutral. Can you tell the difference? Okay, these two are neutral. These two are warm. This one is one lighter than this, okay, and neutral. So when I put it on, if I have the proper amounts of both, this plus this will give me this. It's gonna meet you right in the middle. So certain shades work really well over warm shades to tone down that warmth and bring it back to matching. So when I'm color matching, I'm looking at the darkest tones in your face, I'm looking at the color of your neck, and I'm looking at your undertones to figure out how we can then brighten that back up and bring it all together, okay? So I hope this kind of makes sense. I like to explain my thought process because I know it's different and it can be so confusing. Okay, so I'm going back to this brush. Now this brush, I like for the first step, but for this step, you can't use it. This does not press well at all. Okay, so we're going back to the blush brush, okay? We're gonna move down to, where'd it go? This shade, okay? And we're going to press it on. So I'm gonna show it on this, okay? Again, light hand, okay? Tap in, and we're gonna tap it on. Now again, the reason I'm pressing this on is so that I'm not moving that color in underneath. If I started buffing this shade on, it would just simply mix with the color I've already put on my face. Okay, so I will admit this combo is really versatile because it can you tell I'm already matching? It can vary depending on obviously the amount of product you use, okay? If you use more of that darker shade and less of the lighter shade, you're gonna be pulled slightly darker, more in that sandy zone that I normally wear, and vice versa. Less mango, more candlelit, okay? I'm just gonna keep pressing that on until I feel like I'm all evened and matching, okay? More candlelit, and you're gonna be more in that amber range. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Can you tell the difference of how just the proper colors and the proper combinations can keep you matching? Okay, so you can't just put this shade on straight over it. It would wear off within a couple of hours. Not to mention, it's not gonna go on smooth and flawless. It's gonna be hard to blend, it could be patchy, mostly just textural, which we don't want. We want flawless, right? Okay, so now that we got that on, I'm gonna go ahead and contour real quick so that I can show you guys how I would complete my face. I am not done with this side, obviously. I'm not matching, but at least I'm matching and evened out on this side, so I'll be right back. We contoured real quick. Probably not the best job of contouring, but we contoured real quick. And you can kind of see how I'm already, by just pulling that contour down the neck, it kind of darkens up your neck a little bit. So I feel like I don't look as drastic of a difference just by pulling that down the neck. So that is a great option. Make sure you're pulling down your contour. Okay, let's go ahead and brighten. So brightening is so important if you have those lighter tones and you're trying to bring it all in matching, okay? Especially if you have a more drastic difference in your face and neck, or if you are one that maybe has where you can't use something like candlelit, you have to go even lighter, something like white peach, something like that. Your accent brightener is a game changer. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what I typically use and some other options. So I typically use this shade, which is Aura. Okay, Aura has very yellow undertones, which I naturally do. If you can't tell, I'm more yellow than white. Okay, now when it comes to toning down warmth, Aura isn't the best shade. Unless you have a lot of yellow in your face, I find there's some better options. White Peach is pretty much like the same darkness as Aura. This is White Peach. It's really hard to tell on camera, but White Peach actually has more white than yellow in it. It's less yellow, okay? Or lo and behold, you can't forget Linen. So Linen is like the ultimate pop, okay? So this does still have yellow in it. The reason is because it usually will sit on the skin better than something with straight white tones like Moonlit, which can easily pull chalky. So, depends on your skin tone. That is what an artist is trained to do, is to look at your undertones. So that is why if you need a color match, feel free to holler at me. My questionnaire is in the description box below the video. I'd be happy to tell you all of my tips and tricks. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna brighten. My favorite brush to brighten with is the Buffy, because I can easily press this on. I'm gonna show you how I use White Peach on this side, okay? If I was to match somebody similar in tone, this is what I would pick for them. So I'm gonna show you how I finish up this look. Now I feel like I'm already matching really well, but some people have lighter undertones, and so you might really need this third shade to bring in those tones. So this is White Peach. I'm just gonna press it, again, tap. I didn't contour my nose, but I'm gonna act like I did. Okay, and I'm just gonna press this on. Now, the reason why this is so important is that if you didn't get matched up perfectly, this shade will tone down any warmth, okay? So really, like, using it in the center of your face, this is gonna be hard to do considering I am trying to show two halves, but we're gonna attempt it. Okay, so what I would do and what I would recommend, if you're not matching, pick back up that B squared brush, tap into White Peach, and look. That's all it takes. Go right under that contour line, press on that shade, and suddenly I'm matching even better than I was before, okay? Let me attempt to fix this. Okay, so on this side, we brighten the center of the face. Now, if that still isn't matching perfectly, bringing that light to the center of your face is instantly what people are going to notice, that light is matching. As long as your lightest tones are matching your neck, you're not gonna look like floating head syndrome is what I call it, when your face doesn't match the rest of you. Okay, so the key places are the center of the chin and your jawline, because that is what's closest to your neck. That's gonna be the most obvious. But bringing in that light under your eyes as well, you want your lightest tones to match, if that makes sense. Okay, so now on this side, I didn't layer Candlelit, right? I didn't layer that main shade. I'm gonna go with 2 shades, okay? One to match my darkest tones all over, okay? And then one to bring in my very lightest tones. Now, I will say, in my opinion, I don't recommend this as much because it can be, even though it has less shades, you might think it's easier, I find you're not gonna get as good of a finish, okay? It is best for very natural because you don't wanna layer too much. If you get too much product, it's not gonna sit well on the skin. And again, it has to do with the difference in colors, okay? So from here, we went from here to here to here, okay? In this one, we're gonna go here to here. It's a big difference. We're gonna have to use a lighter shade to tone this down and bring in those light tones, because this isn't matching, and we're gonna have to kind of tone it down more without that shade in between to kind of bridge the gap, is what I like to call it. So I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm expecting it not to sit as well on the skin, okay? Up close at least. So if you have issues where your brightener doesn't look as good as you would like it to, it's probably too light for your skin. You might need kind of a shade in between. Now, I don't feel like you can tell a huge difference between the two yet because I haven't done the most important step. I will get there. Okay, I'm gonna grab this brush again. And can you see how that shade on top of that darker shade will bring me back to matching? Okay, it's all in knowing these colors and really how they work on your skin. Okay, so most important part. I preach this all the time, so if you haven't heard it before, you will now. The perfector, okay? I don't recommend layering anything, unless you have this, okay? Barely damp. So I'm talking, if you squeeze this out in the sink and you don't squeeze it out more and let it air dry, it's gonna be so wet, it's gonna pull off all that hard work you just did. It's gonna pull it off in patches. So squeeze out as much water as you possibly can, wrap it in an absorbent towel, squeeze it out a couple times, let it air dry while you're doing the whole shebang. Now, mine is perfect. I can feel it cold, but it's not damp. It's not gonna leave water on my skin. Okay, so this is perfect, and I'm pouncing it all over. Now, this is super important if you've just layered multiple shades. I've just layered 3 shades over here. Okay, this is what is gonna keep it looking like skin and not like heavy makeup. This is what's going to really press in this brightener that technically is probably too light for my undertones, and to get it looking flawless, right? It's gonna pick up any of that excess, because I will be honest, this method can take a little bit of practice to know the right amount. And if you have too much, you're just gonna feel tacky. We don't want that. We want it to look like skin and you should not be able to feel it on your face. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can go back and you can be like, okay, do I need any more brightener? Do I match now? Do I look good? I feel like the chin is the last place to always look to see if you need a touch more, just to make sure you're not pulling too warm there, okay? There's no rule that says after you perfect, you can't add any more, okay? Last but not least, because this is a very important option, and that is bronzer. Okay, so a lot of people are anti-bronzer, you know, I'm obsessed with it, but some people don't want to wear bronzer. I totally get it. They feel like it pulls them too warm. I will tell you, our Bella bronzer is very sheer and it's very buildable. I honestly don't feel like it pulls too warm at all, not even on the fairest skin tones. So Bella bronzer is an option because it's cream. It's very easy. I tried to self-tan my chest and not my neck, but I don't feel like it's translating on camera because a lot of people have warmth in their chest, but then their neck is much lighter without any warmth, and then they have that warmth they get on their face. The easiest, by far, the easiest option is to simply take a little bit of bronzer and rub it up and down your neck, okay? This bronzer doesn't transfer onto clothes. Trust me, I used to do this with powder bronzers and it always transferred. I've never seen bronzer on my clothes, okay? So the easiest option, run a little bit of bronzer down your neck. Now, if you haven't seen, I am also a huge fan of Muse Highlight, okay? These are the two, Bella and Muse. Can you see how similar they are? Muse is slightly darker, but it is a highlight shade. So if you find that you're having to like apply way too much Bella in order to get that warmth and to tie your neck and your chest and your face together, try Muse. You're gonna need much less because it's a highlight, okay? It's gonna give more coverage as well, okay? So it's not as sheer. Okay, so just simply warming up the neck, getting that to match. It's another option if you don't want to worry or work as hard to make sure you're really matching, is simply to just pull some bronzer down your neck, okay? If you feel like you are lightening your face up too much to get it to match your neck, you know, once you're done, if you feel a little bit washed out because you're actually matching your neck, you add a little bit of Bella bronzer. So I like to put these two next to each other in my compact so I can get the best of both worlds, and I swirl into both, and then I'm going to warm up my face because I'll be honest, right now I'm feeling a little, you guys know I'm a self tanner through and through. I'm feeling a little light because I just pulled my face down to matching my natural neck tone, which I haven't seen in quite some time. Okay, but just adding that little bit of warmth, it's so easy to kind of pull in that warmth and control exactly how you're pulling. By far, if you have a naturally really red, warm chest, Bella bronzer or Muse highlight will be your best friend. Add that warmth, tie it all together. If you're one of those that doesn't tan your face, but tans your neck and chest, and you have to wear darker shades to keep it matching, again, bronzer. It makes it so easy. And you guys, those creams are so easy to apply. Takes no time, doesn't dull your skin. It looks like your skin. Okay, so get off my bronzer tangent and finish up the look. I'm gonna add a little bit of, what color should we do? Let's do, this is choices. I've really been into royal. Let's do some royal. Lip and cheek. Tie it all together. Okay, add some royal. My lips. Okay, I'm done. I desperately need to do my brows right now, but I'm done. So, what do you guys think? Am I matching? Did we do a good job? Okay, this method will give the best coverage, the best longevity by far. This will be more natural, okay? Now, obviously, I feel like they both look pretty natural. I can tell that this one's got a little bit more coverage. But this one, the creams are going to, I didn't powder under my eyes, and I can tell I'm already starting to crease. But this one is going to be, it's gonna lay on the skin better, okay? It's gonna have less texture. You gotta understand that if you have a large range in between your two shades, just naturally how these creams work, it can create the look of more texture. So if texture on your skin is a problem for you, try this method, okay? I hope that helped. I know that was a lot of info, so if you have any questions, please be sure to drop them in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I love you guys.